Yo, it's your boy MIK Smith. Make sure you go like, comment, and subscribe, man. And that's it for Indiana basketball. That's it for Caitlin Clark. That's it for the Fever. The game was epic. This game, we almost saw one of the greatest comebacks for a young team in the Indiana Fever versus Connecticut Sun, but they came up short. It was a lot of mental mistakes that the Indiana Fever made, and the reason why I said before when I gave my analysis and my preview on who I thought was going to win between the Connecticut Sun and the Indiana Fever, I said that if the Indiana Fever win the first game, they were going to have a chance to possibly make this a series, but they lost the first game. And then even this game, they came out very strong, but then they couldn't score the basketball because they couldn't operate in the half court. And the Indiana Fever have nothing to hold their heads down about. The Indiana Fever went to the playoffs for the first time since 2016. The Indiana Fever had an amazing run that a lot of people didn't even expect to have. They came back from the Olympic / All Star break. They went on a run. They really found that continuity and they really showcase what their future is going to be about. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with. They're going to be a force in the next few years. They're going to be a title contender. And Caitlin Clark came into a league where she had immense expectations, a lot of pressure, and she overly delivered on all of those things. So them losing this playoff series, they were a young team going against a veteran team in the Connecticut Sun. They're talking about two players with Bonner and Alyssa Thomas. They've played like 32 combined playoff games together. So it's just like they were going against an experienced team. And this is the Connecticut Sun's sixth straight consecutive semifinals that they have reached. So they're a team that's been there before. They're a team that has a lot of experience. And if you're once again the NFF, you have nothing to hold your head down about because you overly accomplished. You exceeded expectations. And this game was phenomenal. This game was fun to watch. The referees in this game, I would say, is horrible. Caitlin Clark was not getting foul calls like LeBron James in his Lakers era. It was like she was getting slapped, she was getting hounded, she was getting knocked down. But as she said prior to this game, you had to expect not to get any calls because it is the playoffs. And that what was going on with this matchup, and that's the playoff intensity, that's the playoff atmosphere, and that's what the playoffs is all about. It's a physical, it's aggressive, it's contact, and you can't cry about it. You can't whine. You just got to show up. You got to play to the best of your ability. But this Indiana Fever, once again, they exceeded expectations. Kelsey Mitchell needs to have she played horrible this past game against Connecticut Sun, but she is still a part of the future. Her and Caitlin Clark are the most electrifying duo in the league. They need to lock in a deal with her. Also, the Indiana Fever need to figure out a 3-and-D type of situation because when Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark aren't on or Leah Boston, then things can get very dicey. They can get very tricky. And just watching this game, all season long, I've talked about how the Indiana Fever tend to struggle in the half court, and they're going to need to be able to create some half court offense if they wanted to have success in the playoffs, if they wanted to be a force in the playoffs, if they wanted to actually compete in the playoffs. And we saw great things for Caitlin Clark, especially in the second half, where she really tried to take the game over and basically try to put the team on her back. And Aaliyah Bossa as well, she rebounded the ball very, very well. But it was times where I just wanted them to, and I've been preaching this all season. It was times where I wanted the Indiana Fever to run through Boston in the post on the low block or the high post in a PNR situations. But unfortunately, when you just play with pace, 7 seconds or less offense, you tend to forget that you have one of the best bigs in the post that you can utilize, especially when the game slows down. It was several possessions where we had Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark just staying around on the perimeter, especially when they didn't have the ball. No cutting, no ball action, no movement. And then they weren't dumping the ball down to Aaliyah Boston, who's not just one of the best young bigs in the game, but she's one of the best passing bigs in the game as well. So she's very, very skilled, and they didn't utilize her to the best of their ability. And that's one of the reasons why they're going home, because throughout the entire season, as great as the pace and space offense and 7 seconds of offense is in the postseason, the game tends to slow down, and you need to play inside out and not only outside in. You have to mix things up. You can't be one dimensional in the playoffs. And that's what we saw with the Indiana Fever in Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, when their 3-point shot wasn't falling, when the Indiana Fever weren't making perimeter shots, their offense got very stagnant. And it's unfortunate because they had a post player in Aaliyah Boston who they could have ran offense through, especially started in the regular season. And then by the time the postseason came around, you will be good to go because you've already started to develop that cohesive offensive chemistry in the regular season. But that's here nor there. Terry Mick get rid of Smith and build a bench better. They got it. They got a team carry Coach Styles. Now it's time to move on. And I kind of agree with both of those things. I think Smith is probably going to be up out of there. I think Coach Sides, I wasn't really a big fan of some of her substitutions or her rotations, but she was in a situation where it's tough when you're dealing with Caitlin Clark. You have a lot of expectations, and she kind of exceeded those expectations as a head coach. So I don't think they're going to get rid of her off of year one, but I think it's going to be very difficult year two if they go and reach the playoffs and they don't make it past the first round to bring her back. I think she gets one more year guarantee, and we don't know what this Indiana Fever team is going to look like. I'm hoping that Kelsey Mitchell is going to be back, but we don't know if Kelsey Mitchell is going to be back. It all depends. She needs to be back. She should be back because it takes a lot of pressure off Caitlin Clark, but who knows? I know Santu Shelby, everybody wants her to go to Indiana, but we have to see if these players want to go and play with Caitlin Clark. I would personally, but it's not just about Caitlin Clark as a player, as a generator, because her play style can be very difficult at times. That's why you have the perfect complementary piece slash star slash player in Kelsey Mitchell next to her. That's why they got to re-up her automatically. But her play style can be very difficult. So you got to find the unique players that are going to fit in with her play style. Her play style is very similar to a Trae Young, a LeBron James, a Luka Doncic, a Giannis Antetokounmpo, where she holds the ball and everything in the offense is generated through her. And that's just how it is. And that's because she is one of the best generators regardless of gender, but the best generator in WNBA history. So not everybody wants to play in that type of offense. And also not everybody wants to live in the state of Indiana. But we will see what's going to happen. But the Indiana Fever, once again, don't have anything to hold their heads down about. They reached the playoffs for the first time since 2016. Caitlin Clark was a freshman in high school the last time the Indiana Fever had reached the playoffs, and Caitlin Clark exceeded expectations. Caitlin Clark had a lot of hate. Caitlin Clark overcame all that hate. Top 4 MVP finish as a rookie. And we had to have a conversation because a lot of people who talked a lot of shit on Caitlin Clark, said she wasn't going to do this, said she wasn't going to do that, they need to step to the mic. They need to step to the podium. Gino, Connecticut head coach, step to the podium. You came out before the season starts, called the Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever's fan base crazy, said the betting odds is for her to finish top 3, top 4 in the MVP, and people don't know basketball. Please step to the mic because you said she wasn't going to be impactful because all of the women in the WNBA. Please step to the mic. Molly Curran, another Connecticut alumni, stepped to the mic. He was on First Take talking all this nonsense about how she's going to be great, but she's not going to be like what everybody expects her to be. Please step to the mic. We had Monica McNutt going back and forth about the Rookie of the Year race between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, talking about, well, I think it's Angel Reeves because I'm giving them the rookie of the year based on team standings, which makes no sense because from a player standpoint, an individual standpoint, one player was seeing schemes, another player wasn't. Please step to the mic. Even though I like Monica McNutt a lot, but it's a lot of people in the media that had a lot of hate for Caitlin Clark that needs to step to the mic. Cheryl Swoops, please step to the mic because you was wrong about everything that you said about Caitlin Clark. Maybe it was because you were intimidated, maybe because you just wanted to be a hater, whatever the case may be. I'm all for it because basketball is basketball. We see Skip Bayless been hating on LeBron James his entire career. So Cheryl Swoops want to hate on Caitlin Clark her entire career. That's fine, but we can still tell you to step to the mic because your criticism was not valid in any aspect. Gilbert Arenas, you got to step to the mic. Trying to play semantics when we talk about the word dominant. We're not doing that. We know what dominant means. As a rookie, you coming in the game, you changing the game, you being the best generator this league has ever seen from the WNBA standpoint. Number one in merchandise sales, number one in attendance. All of a lot of great things that are happening for the WNBA. You're being you're allowing your brand, your personal draw, your overall aura is allowing other players to benefit off of that. You got to step to the mic as well, man. But once again, this was a great season for the Indiana Fever. Terry, I appreciate it, bro. You know, Hunter, that's what I'm here for. I'm a truth teller, man. I don't. Basketball is basketball. Hoop is hoop. CC beat Gino last year, and he was salty, very salty. Bernard Johnson, glad he left last year off the bench most. It seems that she didn't want to defend against her girl. I'm crying. I'm weak. But I will be back. We're gonna still be covering the NBA, but we're probably not gonna see Caitlin Clark until April, which is unfortunate because he's not going to play in the new 3-on-3 league that I believe Brianna Stewart and who else? I think Sue Bird and Deanna Trice, I think they're funding. She's not going to play in that. She's not going to play overseas. I don't think. That's what people are saying. She's going to take a break from basketball, competitive basketball. But it's going to be a long time until we see Caitlin Clark. But it's definitely we're still going to keep the content going, talk about the NBA Fever and Caitlin Clark, of course. We're still going to keep the content talking about the WNBA. But most importantly, NBA basketball is coming back soon. And we will be here talking about NBA basketball. Every big-time matchup, we will be streaming. We will be analyzing and talking about the game. We will be keeping it 100% hoops. Hoops is hoops, regardless who's playing. When we talking about any live game, TNT, ESPN, Amazon Prime, big matchup, we will be analyzing. We will be talking about it. And I'm very looking forward to that because it's a journey. It's a process. And we know if you love basketball, this is a channel for you. And that's why make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. If you new to this channel, you know we got the book out, got the Becoming Kobe Bryant book on Barnes and Noble. Tell a friend to tell a friend. If you got a niece, nephew, cousin, whatever, son, daughter, go cop that Barnes and Noble. We 100% pure hoops on this side, man. We're 100% pure hoops on this side, whereas educational content and creating children's books, where it's analyzing the game, where it's just basically talking about running sets and running plays and analytics. We talk everything basketball on this side, and I appreciate y'all for locking in. And it's been a great season for the NBA Fever and Caitlin Clark. It's been a great season for a lot of teams, and I'm eager to see who's going to win the playoffs. Who's going to win the championship? I still do not know. I think we're going to know a little bit more after this Mercury and Minnesota game, but it's going to be fun. But the eyes on the WNBA is not going to be the same with Caitlin Clark being out, and that's just the facts. Because we look at the attendance, we look at Caitlin Clark's games compared to the other games, Yes, it's still high. Yes, it's still a lot of numbers and stuff like that. It's still going to be a lot of support. We're still going to analyze and talk about it. But Caitlin Clark brings a different flair to the game because of her play style. She's so special. She's one on one. She is the chosen one, like I said multiple times when we talk about the WNBA game and overall product. She's going to make a lot of great things happen and a lot of women rich. And we're entering a new renaissance era for the WNBA, and it starts with Caitlin Clark. But we got other girls that are coming. We got this draft class. It's going to be the biggest draft class probably in history for the WNBA. When we talk about star appeal, when we talk about marketability, when we talk about just entering this new age of basketball, where the WNBA specifically is going to become the summer sport in a summer where everything, the NBA is gone, the NFL is gone, the WNBA is going to become the summer sport, and it's because of this draft class with Caitlin Clark and Enrique Jackson and Cameron Britt and Angel Reese, and then we got Paige Becker's coming. We got Juju coming in a couple of years. We got Flage coming in a couple of years. We're about to enter in a new era of WNBA hoops, and it's going to be very, very fun and very, very exciting. Now we're going to see the truth about the CC effect. CC said all scores. Caitlin Clark became the first rookie in WNBA history to post 25, 5, and 5 or more. That was what Caitlin Clark did as a rookie. It seemed like every other game she was breaking a record this entire season as a rookie. She did it in the regular season. She just did it in the postseason. She's one on one. She's the chosen one. All the hate, all the nonsense, all the people that are jealous, whatever the case you want to be, basketball is basketball, hoop is hoop, game is game. You better recognize, you better respect it, because all that narrative talk, all those people that have those conversations about everything outside of basketball, like, oh, Caitlin Clark needs to say this, and Caitlin Clark is doing this, and this her fans and her fan base, and it's a bunch of nonsense, because a lot of people that are intertwined in the game of basketball for the WNBA don't actually like basketball because they don't really know about the game itself. They're more about the narratives. They're more about the trying to make things into a race war. They're more about trying to talk about things outside of the game of basketball that has nothing to do with the game of basketball itself. Trying to make people pick sides. You can't be an Angel Reese fan and a Caitlin Clark fan. It's been so much nonsense this rookie season, and I'm almost kind of low key happy it's over with, because I don't think it's going to be the same next year, because Caitlin Clark is going to she's going to take a step in a direction that's going to get very, very spooky for a lot of people that ever even doubted Caitlin Clark and the Indian Fever, because they're coming. They remind me of the young Golden State Warriors team, and it starts by re-signing Kelsey Mitchell. They have to re-sign Kelsey Mitchell. If they don't re-sign Kelsey Mitchell, then if I'm Caitlin Clark, I'm looking at the front office. I'm looking at like the situation, like what the hell is going on, because they cannot lose Kelsey Mitchell. She is key, just like how Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson were key together. Even though Stephen Curry was a better player, like they don't win those championships without Klay Thompson. They're not going to have great success, or possibly success in a short time span where they can win a championship in the next couple of years, if they do their re-signings right, and maybe even coaching and stuff like that, without Kelsey Mitchell. Like, you're looking at a team that could possibly go out and win a championship with Kelsey Mitchell and a couple re-signings and developing wings and maybe 3-and-D players and stuff like that, and figure out the right offense for Kelsey Mitchell, Caitlin Clark, and also Leah Boston. If you lose Kelsey Mitchell, then you're looking at, like, instead of competing for a championship in the next, 2 to 3 years, because I think they can do it if they build it out right. They really can do it. They're really one player and a couple role players away from really being a title contender. because Caitlin Clark is already a top 7 player in this league. Really, probably top 5, to be honest. So it can get scary, but they got to build their team out. That's key. But it's your boy, Mike K. Smith, man. I'm going. Thank y'all for locking in. Hope y'all lock in with these other games we're going to cover. Also, NBA season is coming. The cream of the crop is coming. We already got people talking nonsense. Like, I know I was about to leave, but we already got people talking nonsense about, like, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum's been a hot topic of debate ever since the Olympics went on. And we have a lot of casuals that are talking about Jason Tatum as if he's not one of the coldest wing players this league has ever seen. And what happens is, this is why I always say, what happens is people like to question Jason Tatum, talk about, well, you can put anybody on his team and swap out Jason Tatum, and they will have the same type of success like Jason Tatum to come in as a rookie, being the best player and leading them to the playoffs, or lead them to multiple Eastern Conference Finals appearances, or having big games in the playoffs, in elimination games, having the most Game 7 points in NBA history. But he sacrificed his number and his numbers and his stats, and he won a championship, and he played the team-oriented role. And this is why I always tell people, as a player, I wanted to win my way no matter what, because sometimes when you win the team way or the quote-unquote corporate way, people try to pretend like what you did wasn't considered a sacrifice. And now we got people like Richard Jefferson, who I know knows basketball, but I guess he ain't watching as much basketball as I thought he was watching, coming out saying that Donovan Mitchell, if you replace Jason Tatum with Donovan Mitchell, they still win a championship. That is an asinine take. And that's sad coming from Richard Jefferson, who was a small forward, who was a wing player, and you're comparing a 6'9" wing player that's a 1-5, 1-4 switchable defender and elite 3-level shot maker to a 6'1" guard, and saying if you swap those two, the Celtics are still winning a championship. Make it make sense. It's like people not living in reality because of their Jason Tatum hate. And it's sad and it's frustrating, but it is what it is. So, once again, I appreciate y'all. We're going to lock in this NBA season. We're going to lock in for the rest of the WNBA playoffs. I'm getting a little sick, but don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It's your boy, Mike K. Smith, the original truth teller, the wizard. I'm going, man. Peace.